So, if you think about it, this movie is not too dissimilar to E.T. Except in this movie, the Gremlins are smaller, there's a lot more of them, and they're a lot more mischievous and evil. Here's my view of Gremlins. Gremlins. Now, Gremlins was released in 1985 and it's set by Joe Dante. And basically, the story of this character called Billy, who one Christmas gets given this Magua, and he calls the Magua Gizmo. But to look after Gizmo, you have to follow 3 rules. You cannot shine any bright lights on him, you cannot get him wet, and also you can't feed him after midnight. However, as you might have guessed already, 2 of those rules get broken. And basically, water ends up accidentally getting spilled on Gizmo, which means that we get multiple Gizmos spawn. But these other Gizmos which are spawned are a bit more mischievous and a bit more naughty, and basically they end up tricking Billy into feeding them after midnight, and basically this creates these gremlins, these evil, mischievous gremlins that start terrorizing the town where this film takes place. And so basically Zach Galligan's character Billy and Phoebe Cates' character Kate team up together to try and stop all these gremlins before it's too late and too many of them multiply and they take over this town. And that's basically my interpretation of the plot for Gremlins. And honestly, I've got to admit here, I think Gremlins is brilliant. I really like it, because the thing is though, it's a film of its time and in the best way possible. I love the fact that this film was made in 1985, because if this film was made nowadays, it would not have the same effect. Like, all the Gremlins look realistic in the film. You know, I don't know how they were done, whether through puppets, electronic stuff, or I don't know, like models or things like that. I don't know how the Gremlins were done, but it just looks so real in this film. And if this film was made nowadays, all the Gremlins would be CGI and just wouldn't work as well as they do in this film. You know, the film does have its problems. It's a bit messy, it's a bit outdated, because, you know, some of the CGI in the film, because there are some small use of CGI. Not really CGI, actually, more like special effects. There are some small special effects used in the film, and they haven't always held up the best way. And so there are some outdated parts of the film, and some of the dialogue in the film is a bit corny and a bit generic, but even with all its problems in there, it's fantastic, because it's so odd, and it's so unlike any other film made. Honestly, it's so unlike any other horror movie, or any other Christmas horror movie at that, because in the end it's a Christmas film. It's so unlike any other horror Christmas movie ever made, and in the best way possible. You know why that is? Because of the Gremlins. Honestly, I absolutely love the Gremlins in the film, because it looks so realistic. You know, Gizmo looks so realistic, and you feel sympathy for Gizmo, kind of similar way you feel sympathy for E.T. in E.T. I'm going to get onto that a bit later in the video. You know, the similarities between Gremlins and E.T. And at the same time, though, all the Gremlins, though, all the other Gremlins, they look real. Like the lead Gremlin, I forgot what it's called now, but he looks so realistic. And the thing is, though, you actually feel a bit scared when the Gremlins are on the screen. You feel like they can actually do some danger, and that's why I like it so much. You believe in the Gremlins, and that's what makes this film work. I mean, honestly, I just think Joe Dante did an absolutely fantastic job making the film, because I still, today, don't know how he made the Gremlins work. I don't know how he made this work. Bear in mind, this film was made in 1985, and I watched it for the second time in a very long while again last night, and honestly, I was just kind of sitting there thinking, how has he made this all work? Because it still works nowadays. I mean, yes, there are a couple of moments of special effects in there to make the Gremlins move a bit, you know, swifter and quicker. But at the same time, though, most of it is just like puppets or, you know, practical effects. And it works. And that's the odd thing with Gremlins. All the Gremlins work, and you believe in the story because the Gremlins look unbelievably realistic. They shouldn't do, but they do. Because in the end, this film has such a silly plot. You know, you got 3 rules like of Gizmo, and you can't disobey any of those rules. Otherwise, something bad will happen. And can you guess what's going to happen? They disobey some of those rules. And that's what happens in this film. It's a silly plot, and it's quite predictable. You know that some of the rules are going to be broken with Gizmo, and you know it's going to get wet, and you know all the other Magpies are going to get fed after midnight, and you know that these Gremlins, these evil little mischievous monsters, are going to come into the film. You know that's going to happen, but somehow it all works. And I think the main reason it works is because you believe in the Gremlins. If you don't believe in the Gremlins, then none of this works, and you don't buy into the plot. But the thing is, though, because the Gremlins look realistic, because, you know, they're puppeted and they're practical and things like that, because the Gremlins look realistic, you believe in everything that's going on, and that's what makes this film work. Honestly, it's a fantastic Halloween Christmas film, because in the end, you know, I'm reviewing this now in November. It's the perfect time to watch this film, because it's got some Halloween essence in there, you know, there's some of the horror stuff in the film, but at the same time, though, it's also set at Christmas, so it can actually get you in the mindset of Christmas. Basically, the plot of the film revolves around Christmas. You know, Billy gets given Gizmo as a Christmas Christmas present. And at the same time, though, you also have Christmas Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love, played in the opening credits of the film. It's set at Christmas. There's a lot of snow in the film as well. But at the same time, though, it's got its Halloween aspects in there in the best way possible. It's a Christmas horror film, and it works so well. Honestly, this is the perfect time of the year to watch a film, because it's just after Halloween, so you're still in kind of like a horror mindset watching horror movies. But at the same time, though, you're also getting the mindset for Christmas. And this film is a nice mixture of both. It works really well in that aspect. And honestly, I think it's great because, you know, it's got so many fun aspects in there. It's so enjoyable to watch. And all the Gremlins are really enjoyable because you believe in them. They're all really enjoyable. But at the same time, though, it's also got its horror aspects in there. You know, the one moment where the Gremlins, not to give too much away here, but they get out a digger and they crash through someone's house. That's actually seen in the film, and it works also well. And also, Jay Goldsmith's fantastic musical score for the film, which it works brilliantly, because Jay Goldsmith, I don't know how he did it. I really don't know how he did it. But he somehow summed up the whole feeling of the Gremlins in this film just through the musical score. And it just works so well. I love Jay Goldsmith's musical score for the film because it makes you feel like you're going to watch a Gremlins film. And that's another reason this film works so well. And at the same time, though, like I said before, the film is not too dissimilar to E.T. In fact, I don't know how true this is, but I read online a while ago that there was this cancelled sequel to E.T., which was meant to be like E.T. came back down to Earth with all the E.T. species and then basically take over Earth. And actually, that doesn't sound too dissimilar to the plot for Gremlins. You know, Gremlins, they get fed after midnight and then basically get all these evil Gremlins roaming about this town where the film takes place. It's not too dissimilar for the plot for this cancelled E.T. sequel, which never happened. Like, I don't know how true that is, but I read it online, and it's not too dissimilar in the plot for Gremlins when you think about it. And at the same time, you know, the whole stuff to do with Billy and Gizmo, you know, getting this friendship together, that's very similar to the storyline between Elliot and E.T. in E.T. And also, Steven Spielberg himself is a producer on this film. So there's another E.T. connection. You know, Steven Spielberg, who directed E.T., is a producer on this film. So you can clearly tell that this film has a few Spielberg connections. In fact, there are a couple of moments which do feel like they could be out of a Spielberg film. I don't know what Spielberg film, maybe even E.T. at that. But yes, there's a couple of moments which you actually feel that they could be out of a Steven Spielberg film, and not in a bad way, by the way. I love Steven Spielberg. But yes, there are a couple of moments that just feel like they could be out of a Steven Spielberg film, and not in a bad way, and I really like that about Gremlins. But at the same time, though, it is also a Joe Dante film, and you can tell. Like, Joe Dante, I think in 1981, also directed another quite famous horror movie called The Howling. And I've got to admit here, I think The Howling is quite a bad movie, but it's got a couple of perks in there. But the reason I'm not really a fan of The Howling is because it has a terrible script. There's one moment in The Howling where you see Dee Wallace's character, who's protagonist of The Howling, you know, meet one of her friends in the film, and she literally goes up to her friend and goes, "Hello, good friend." And you're just like, oh, the script for The Howling is so awful. But The Howling does have a couple of moments in there, specifically with all the werewolf stuff. Honestly, the werewolf stuff in The Howling works really well. There isn't much of it, but it works really well in The Howling. And actually, there's one scene in particular where you see someone transform into a werewolf, and it's fantastic in The Howling. It's a brilliant scene, and I still today don't know how Joe Dante did that in 1981 when The Howling was made. Honestly, there's an absolutely fantastic werewolf transformation scene in The Howling. However, the rest of The Howling doesn't really work because it takes itself too seriously, and at one point gets a werewolf coat going in that film, and it doesn't work. You know, on the surface, that sounds awesome, a werewolf coat in The Howling, but it doesn't work when you watch the film. It really doesn't. But then the odd thing is, Gremlins works over The Howling because it doesn't take itself too seriously. Yes, you have these really serious moments in there. You have fantastic moments in there. But at the same time, though, it also has fun with itself. You know, there's this whole sequence of the film where the Gremlins are all dancing about in this bar and everything like that. And you see the Flasher Gremlin, you know, he takes his coat and he goes, ah! It works because, you know, you have fun watching the Gremlins, and the Gremlins are kind of fun to watch them themselves. There's one sequence in particular, and I don't really want to go too much into detail, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's one of my favourite sequences in the film, where basically all the Gremlins go to the movie theatre and they end up watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they end up all singing along to the Seven Dwarfs, and they end up all singing along, you know, ho ho, ho ho, we're off to work we go, do 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 do, ho ho, ho ho, ho ho. You know, they end up all singing along to the dwarf song in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and you're going to sit there and go, I didn't expect to see this in the Gremlins film, but actually, oddly enough, it works because it embraces its identity. That's why Gremlins works over The Howling. You know, The Howling doesn't really embrace its identity. It takes the whole werewolf stuff way too seriously in my opinion. But then, if you watch Gremlins, it has loads of fun with the whole identity of itself in the film. It has loads of fun with the fact that this film is a film about gremlins. It's not a film about anything else, it's a film about gremlins, and has so much fun with that in the film. Like, there's one moment in particular in the film where you see all these gremlins singing Christmas carols at someone's door in the film. There's another moment in particular where you see someone dressed as Santa and all the gremlins, you know, are running onto him, grabbing onto the person who's dressed as Santa in the film. There's another moment in particular where you see the mother of Billy, you know, the main character of the film, you see the mother of Billy trying to kill all these gremlins in her house and basically come out of the Christmas tree. And it just works so well because it has so much fun with itself. But at the same time, though, it does have its serious moments in there. You know, one fantastic moment with Phoebe Cates' character Kay in the film. It's a fantastic monologue, and she delivers it so well. Honestly, Phoebe Cates is great in the film, but there's this fantastic monologue where she talks about why she didn't like Christmas and how her father dressed up as Santa one year and it didn't go to plan. I'm not going to give away that monologue because I'll probably butcher up anyway. I'm not going to give it away in this review in case you haven't seen the film, but it's one of my favourite moments of the film, and it's got nothing to do with the Gremlins. It's just this monologue delivered by Phoebe Cates' character Kay in the film, and it works really well because it's just this unnerving scene where she talks about why she doesn't like Christmas, and that works so well in the film, and it just adds so much more horror into it. It's another fantastic horror aspect. But at the same time though, you have all the Gremlin stuff, and that's so enjoyable to watch. But also, you do actually feel that the Gremlins could cause harm. There's one sequence in particular where Billy is fighting like the lead Gremlin, and then the Gremlin gets out a chainsaw. Honestly, it's a slasher film with Gremlins, and it works. That's the thing though, it works. It shouldn't work, but it does. And I think the reason it does is because it embraces identity and it doesn't take itself too seriously. Yes, you do have those serious moments in there, like that one moment where you see Phoebe Cates' character Kate talk about watching like Santa and watching like Christmas, and at the same time though, you also have the whole family dynamic you do with Billy's family, which is kind of like the heart of the film, because actually, when you think about it, Gremlins is a bit of a more of a family film, again, reinforcing that Christmas aspect, but at the same time though, you also have all the Gremlin stuff, which is so enjoyable and adds horror into the film in the best way possible. Honestly, who wouldn't want to watch a slasher film with Gremlins? That sounds awesome in my opinion, and that's what Gremlins is in the end. That's why it's so enjoyable. It's a slasher film with Gremlins, and the Gremlins feel threatening, and at the same time though, you feel emotion for, you know, Gizmo in the film, you feel sympathy for him, and at the same time though, you just enjoy watching the Gremlins stuff so much, and it's so odd, and it's so bizarre, but it weirdly enough works, and that's kind of why Gremlins works overall. You know, like the small, evil, mischievous creature in the film itself, the film is bizarre. It's a bit all over the place, it's a bit messy, and it's a bit stupid, but it works because it embraces identity. That's why Gremlins work, because it embraces identity, and you know what? It's so enjoyable to watch. Honestly, it's one of my favourite Christmas films, because it's unlike so many other Christmas films you watch. Honestly, it's a Halloween Christmas film, it's a horror Christmas film, and in the best way possible. This is the perfect time of the year to watch Gremlins. Go and check it out, it's so much fun, and honestly, it's unlike any other film you've ever seen before, and you know what? I mean that in the best way possible. Honestly, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Even though there's problems in there, I still really enjoy watching it, and you know what? I was also surprised by how well this film had held up since 1985. You believe in the Gremlins, you believe in the story, you shouldn't do, but you do, and that's why Gremlins works overall. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Gremlins, I'm going to say that it's an 8 out of 10. Honestly, I just think Gremlins is absolutely fantastic. I really do. And I really enjoy watching it. And I think the reason I personally enjoy it so much is because you believe in the Gremlins. You really do believe in the Gremlins, because they're all puppeted and they're all done by practical effects and things like that. So you believe in the Gremlins. And if the film was made nowadays, you know, the Gremlins would all be CGI. It would not have the same effect that it does. You know, because all the Gremlins look so realistic, you do kind of go, oh my god, I can't believe what I'm watching, but you know what? I haven't seen anything like it, and in the best way possible. And that's why Gremlins works, because it is so different and it is so fun to watch. It's a fantastic Christmas horror movie, although I wouldn't really say it's that scary, but at the same time though, it's a fantastic Christmas slasher movie. It's the perfect time of the year to watch it in my opinion, and you know what? This film is absolutely fantastic because it's so odd and so bizarre, and all in the best way possible. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Gremlins, I'm going to say that it's an 8 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Gremlins? Please do comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching. If you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more both film and TV reviews come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!